Candace Owens claims that Macron's orchestrated an assassination plot against her. Public trust in authority is collapsing, with accusations once dismissed as unthinkable gaining traction. What does it mean when so many people no longer believe the government's version of events? And why should we? Candace Owens' claim that Emmanuel and Brigitte Macron orchestrated an assassination plot against her, now echoed by Telegram CEO Pavel Durov and Tucker Carlson's allegation that the FBI is hiding crucial information about the attempted assassin of Donald Trump. These allegations and claims have been ridiculed by the establishment, of course, as hysterical fabrications. Yet the speed with which these claims spread and the intensity of public attention that they attract reveals something deeper and far more ominous than the claims themselves. It reflects a growing, widespread belief that government institutions, intelligence services, and security agencies have forfeited the moral authority required to be taken at face value. If you ask me, this process began in the 1960s when mass media brought to public attention brilliant countercultural voices like James Baldwin, Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, and even had people in significant positions of power like the Kennedys who were willing to take unusual stances.
These are videos the FBI has worked hard to make sure you haven't seen. They're from the Google Drive account of Thomas Crooks, the man who on July 13th, 2024, showed up at the Butler County, Pennsylvania fairgrounds and tried to assassinate the frontrunner, Donald Trump. Since the start of their investigation, the FBI has claimed that Thomas Crooks acted alone and that he was a virtual ghost online with no presence at all. Their only substantive claim about Crooks' motive was that he was a right-winger. The other story, in fact, the far more significant story, involves the government, the DOJ, and the FBI, which have hidden from the public what they know about Thomas Crooks. The purpose of this report is to reveal details of Crooks' social media accounts and to confront a series of key questions. Why is the FBI keeping Crooks' views a secret? Why are they ignoring congressional subpoenas to divulge information? Why are they pretending that there's nothing to see here? And more than anything, what are they hiding?
These institutions are now met not with public trust, but with suspicion. A growing portion of the public no longer assumes that official explanations are true. They assume that something is being hidden. Whether or not you believe Candace Owens' story of an international hit squad or Carlson's warnings of an FBI suppression, the instinct to question power has become a rational survival strategy in a political culture built on secrecy, manipulation, and documented historical crimes. Simple truth is this: Charlie Kirk is dead now. What on earth happened there? Do you want to believe another lone gunman story, like the lone gunman that killed the Kennedys, like the lone gunman that killed Malcolm X, like the lone gunman that killed Martin Luther King? Or do you want to investigate the potential that perhaps something unusual is happening? I don't claim to have any answers. I'm not even sure what the right questions are, other than cui bono, who benefits, who benefits, and probably your belief about who conducted these murders or assassinations is an indication of the kind of information that you've consumed and where you locate evil. And you know, that's why ultimately we're going to need a supernatural story, because it's beyond what we can comprehend. This distrust is not rooted in fantasy, it's rooted in the undeniable record of the last 70 years. In 1953, the CIA helped engineer the overthrow of Iran's democratically elected Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh by bribing officials, planting propaganda, and staging violence to justify the return of a monarch more compliant with Western oil interests.
For the first time now, the CIA has released documents that show its role in the 1953 coup. That is the coup that toppled Iran's democratically elected Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh had moved to nationalize oil production in Iran. Well, the U.S. was concerned at the time that that would mean a victory for the Soviets in the Cold War. So shortly after his election, the CIA began to plan his overthrow, teaming up with Britain's MI6.
Now, the CIA, we've seen it spelling out its involvement in a series of newly declassified documents. These are the actual documents marked confidential, top secret, eyes only. It's the stuff of crime and mystery and spy novels. This one talks about the security implications of CIA letters of commendation for those who served in that operation codenamed TP Ajax. And this one, dated July 22nd, 1953, almost a month before the coup, it talks about preparing an official American statement to follow a successful coup.
The American public did not learn the full truth for decades because the government lied about it, denied involvement, and destroyed records. That same pattern of covert manipulation defined entire generations of intelligence work. MKUltra used citizens as unsuspecting test subjects for mind-altering experiments. CIA honey traps operations targeted diplomats, dissidents, and politicians for sexual blackmail. The public was told none of this until whistleblowers and congressional investigators forced the truth into daylight.
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to a major circulation American journal?
We do have people who submit pieces to two American journals.
Do you have any people paid by the CIA who are working for television networks?
This, I think, gets into the kind of getting into the details, Mr. Chairman, that I'd like to get into in executive session.
At CBS, we had been contacted by the CIA. As a matter of fact, by the time I became the head of the whole news and public affairs operation in 1954, the ships had been established, and I was told about them and asked if I'd carry on with them.
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to the national news services, AP and UPI?
Well, again, I think we're getting into the kind of detail, Mr. Chairman, that I'd prefer to handle in executive session.
By 1975, the situation was so dire that the Church Committee hearings revealed a catalogue of abuses: domestic spying, infiltration of civil rights groups, mail interception, illegal wiretapping, and covert operations designed to manipulate public opinion. These were not fringe theories. These were sworn testimonies backed by documents that agencies fought to keep secret. Every revelation proved that institutions built for national security were willing to violate the rights of citizens, subvert democratic accountability, and lie until caught. Trust died not because people were paranoid, but because government agencies had proven they could not be believed. Do you like gambling? It's dangerous, it's bad for you, don't do it. But if you do it, use Polymarket. You can gamble on anything. If you follow politics, you know everyone's got an opinion, your group chats, pundits, and of course me, we've all got opinions, right? But Polymarket can actually get real odds on what's likely to happen. Why don't you gamble your way to the top, like Biff in Back to the Future 2, when he got that almanac? You will be like Biff. Polymarket is a prediction market where people trade on real events, elections, debates, policy moves, erections, and honestly, it's great. And it doesn't stop at politics. There are markets on the economy, tech, sports, pop culture, erections, and even weird stuff that takes over the internet for a week. It's all live, it's transparent, and it gives you a vibe check on what people really think. Oh, look at these people on Epstein Island. Who knew? You stinking, filthy perverts. Not you, I mean them. You didn't go to Epstein Island, did you? You were just at home. What was the worst thing you've done? Looked at porn. Shouldn't do that either, actually. And if you look at Polymarkets, you can gamble on why and what type of porn. Oh, look at that, big boobs. Black versus white, using their winkies as swords. I don't know. Sith versus Jedi. Work it out for yourselves using Polymarket. See you later, baby. The lingering doubts around the JFK assassination only reinforced the pattern. Official investigations contradicted each other, witnesses were ignored, and key records remained classified long past the time when disclosures should have been automatic. Even today, partial releases arrive with redactions that raise more questions than they answer. In this environment, skepticism is not an ideological choice anymore. It's a logical response to the government's long tradition of secrecy and self-preservation. The same dynamic plays out now in public reactions to establishment figures who demand unquestioning loyalty to official narratives. When individuals like Pam Bondi and Kash Patel present conflicting public statements about what they knew regarding Jeffrey Epstein, even as the FBI under Donald Trump promised a new transparency, people notice the inconsistencies. They notice the selective disclosure, they notice what is never explained, and they draw the only conclusion that fits the pattern. The institutions claiming to protect the public are capable of hiding the truth when it suits them, which seems more often than not these days. This is the context into which Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson's claims come. Whether or not their specific statements are accurate matters less than the cultural function they perform. They remind us, the public, to think independently, to interrogate official accounts, to follow evidence rather than authority, and to understand that historical precedent justifies suspicion. Independent media figures may get things wrong, but they serve a purpose that government institutions resent. They disrupt the expectation of obedience. They ask questions those in power would prefer remain unasked. They force attention onto the details authorities would rather bury. Think for a moment about Muhammad Ali's brave stance when the Vietnam draft came through. Imagine them trying to contain Muhammad Ali now. Imagine them imprisoning Muhammad Ali now. The lesson is not that every accusation against the government is true, nor that skepticism must always curdle into belief. The lesson is that citizens cannot afford to accept government claims at face value because history shows that those claims are often incomplete, misleading, or intentionally false. Trust has to be earned, and these institutions have failed to earn it. The prudent path forward is radical change. These institutions have broken our trust, and they themselves are broken. We can never again trust that the official line is the real story. Don't assume the release of partial information is the same as transparency. Do not outsource your judgment to agencies that repeatedly abuse the power they wield. In this age of institutional decay and public deception, independent thought is not a political virtue, it's a civic necessity, and the contemplation and mental interrogation that we conduct individually is likely to lead to radical collegiate change. Why do we need these institutions? Why do we need this degree of centralized authority? Is it not possible now to have forms of direct democracy that reflect the technology that we have and the corruption that we face? Yes, is the obvious answer, but that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments and chat. And support me by supporting Reborn. Fantastic products, and each dollar you spend gets you an opportunity to win this crazy ride. More important than any of that, though, is if you can, please stay free. Thanks for watching the video. Have a look at this one over here, or join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Rumble.